Welcome to Business Wit's Better Business Results. My name is John Witt, and I'm your host. Today our guest is Knierim, and Chris is a leadership and high performance expert. Chris, thanks for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here, John.
So Chris, start us off by telling us what leadership and high performance expert means, and why did you get into this business?
Well, I got into it because I love to teach.
Uh-huh.
I love that moment when somebody gets something, that moment of understanding, and I love to make people laugh. So I found a way to combine those two, and I found that leadership development is a good way for me to experiment with both of those things I like to do and help other people. So that's where I got kind of passionate about leadership and leadership development.
Okay. So who most benefits? I mean, who do you work with? Who most benefits from your services?
Well, I work with large corporations. I really work with senior leaders who are looking to develop high performance for themselves, their team, their culture. And I do it in a fun and impactful way.
Sure. Well, and we can talk a little bit about being a stand-up comedian too, because I'm certain that plays a role. Your ability to be comfortable in that environment is a big deal. Now, let's talk about just the size of the organization. So, I mean, it may be really big, Fortune 500, but you might be working with an organization of, several hundred people.
Yeah, that's usually about the size you want to work with as a team. So it's hard to work with the other ones. You still have to slice and dice. You can work with larger organizations, but you can still have to kind of break it up. You wouldn't want 500 people to go through one development because it's hard to get that kind of personal training for the leadership and for the team. But you can work organizational wide, but you still have to break it down into a little more digestible units. Maybe 15 to 30 people in training, and then maybe a large training if we were doing a large group of people.
Okay. So, several hundred people, organizations, senior leaders, that's who gets the benefit of this.
That's who gets the benefit.
So what are the top three challenges that you solve?
Top three challenges I said really are alignment. What I see is really alignment of mission. Like what am I supposed to be doing every day? How does that connect to the vision? So the vision of the organization, my vision for myself, and values. So what are my personal values? What are the organizational values? If there's a misalignment, that creates what I call like a friction loss. So the company starts losing productivity, employee engagement. If we shore all those up, mission, vision, and values, we see the organization perform much better.
So employee engagement, I mean, the studies today are pretty remarkable about how
remarkable is an interesting way to describe it.
Well, master of understatement.
Very positive way to frame it. Yes.
Because we have this thing called the Great Recession, and so for a lot of times, the leaders that were there, they basically said, "Hey, you should be lucky to have a job," and if you didn't come in and you weren't engaged, then they just let you go because there were plenty of people looking for work, but that's not the case today.
No, it's not. And people are looking for companies that care about them, that show that I'm important to the organization. And you'll lose your top quality people if they feel like they're not being taken care of, if they're not living their values at work. There's a really strong business case for that alignment of mission, vision, and values. So if I'm living my values at work, I'm more engaged, I'm more productive, and ultimately the company is more profitable.
Well, and you're going to retain them. Because it's pretty expensive to hire somebody new.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And today with the unemployment level as low as it is, I mean, finding new people's hard. Training new people's hard. So it's a lot easier to retain somebody. And we know that money's a motivator to some degree, but after a certain level of money, it becomes less important.
Yeah.
And things like being able to make a difference and being able to get some training and being able to get leadership opportunities. That's what people are really looking for, and that's that retention and mission, vision, and alignment of mission, vision, and values, right?
Mission, vision, and values. Yeah. If you have a misalignment of any one of those, there's a friction loss. So if I know what to do and I know what the company vision is, but I don't feel like I'm living my values, like there's something bumping against my core beliefs, you're gonna lose people. I'm going to say, look, I love your vision, I love your mission, but I don't feel like we're really truly living that. You'll lose those people. And who stays? The ones who are afraid of losing the job. So you end up with disengaged employees. I mean, you were saying remarkable was, I think, the word they used.
The percentage is remarkable. I mean, it's 60+%.
Yeah, I've heard the averages are 60%. I heard somewhere as high as 80, which just boggles my mind.
That's huge, yeah.
I mean, so we were talking. Let's say you have 100 or 100 people or 500 people in your organization, if you're doing really great and you only have 30% of the people disengaged, think of what that means.
So 150 people.
So 150 people who are disengaged, and how much you're paying them. What is the loss in productivity for your organization? What is your turnover rate for those people who are disengaged? So as you can engage the employees and get them to say, look, I'm excited about living here, working here, then they're going to be much more productive.
Okay, so what's your process? Somebody says, hey, listen, Chris, I think you can help me. What's your process?
First thing I do is values.
Uh-huh.
I do a values-based assessment of the organization and the leaders. So the best way I can say this, so what's an important value for you, John?
Well, I have 5 of them: integrity, compassion, growth, adventure, and excellence.
Okay, so I like the word adventure. So they say
I do too.
adventures. I kind of keyed on that one because you hear the other one. So adventure. So what does adventure mean to you? So what does it mean?
Adventure means a willingness to step out and try new things. I'm not a bleeding edge, but I like to be leading edge.
Right.
I'm not a bungee jumper. That's not my kind of thing, right? But when it comes to learning new things about technology and willing to step out or get in front of a camera, or those are the things that it's time for us to move. We need to step out and be able to move outside of our comfort growth zone, because I think that's where growth is.
Right. Now, part of your business, would you say not just for you personally, but for your business, that adventure is a quality that you would want to see in your business?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So then if I was working for you and I felt like, boy, I feel like I found out that my values or what I'm experiencing is that there's no growth for me. There's no opportunity for me to go through there. You'd see that there was a misalignment.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Right. And now I'm not living that value, or I don't perceive that value. Right. And you're saying, well, but it's obvious that we're doing this. So why is there a disconnect there? So that's where we start. We really start with values. Are your values, my values aligned? Are the company values aligned? When you have alignment on the values, a lot of good things can happen.
Now we can go to the next.
Yeah, now we can start talking about, okay, now what's the mission? Why is this important to me as an individual and important to the company? How can we align those two?
Yeah, and really when you say alignment, you're talking about the individual employee and the company, or the individual employee and the leader.
Yes,
those
absolutely.
are the things that have to be, we want them like this.
Yeah, you want them all going in, like lockstep. Like, yes, I get what you were saying. Adventure is important to me. I'd like to do this, and you're saying, yes, that's important. That's an important part of my company vision. Like you said, growth. Like growth is really important to me. And I said, growth. Oh, there's lots of growth opportunities working with John Witt. I want to work in this organization. So I'm like, hey, what can I do today? And you're like, oh, great. This is where we're headed. Oh, I'm on board to head. Let's go take that mountain together.
Right.
As opposed to is like, you go take the mountain. I have no interest in going up there.
Yeah.
So that's where we run into trouble. And that's where we have potentially limiting beliefs that come into play and limiting opportunities. So we want to shore those up so we can be all headed in the right direction.
And do you start with values, and then do you go to mission and then vision? Is that kind of that's the
Well,
ladder?
yeah. What I like to do is I talk about mission, vision, and values, and it really goes. I guess to say it's values first,
Okay.
then it's vision, and then it's a mission.
Okay, fair enough. I agree. I think that's the right idea, because values become the guidelines for decision making. I tell the story all the time that you can use those values as your guidelines across the bridge. And this is a cow story. I tell a lot of cow stories. So you've got a field and you've got cows there's a bridge. The farmers built a bridge, and the cows can go over the stream so they get to the other side of the side of the meadow. And without guidelines, without handrails or something like that, they'll go right across the center because it's too scary to get by the sides. And so the system and the process has to be one behind the other, single file across. But then if you put rails up, then they'll use the whole bridge. And so maybe 2 or 3 or 4, it's going to be a lot more effective and a lot more efficient for all of the cows to get from one side of the stream or one side of the field to the meadow to the other. And those rails are really like your values, right? If you set your values, those are the rails, right? And so as long as everybody's operating within those, we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
We might make a mistake. That's not impossible, but you're going to be making a mistake for the right reasons. And as soon as we move outside of those rails, as soon as you break whatever those values are, if your value is integrity and you run into somebody who doesn't have it or exercises a lack of integrity, then we tell that's a yellow flag. I got to go find out what's going on with that. I got to go, and so that way, the mission can just kind of roll. But if you get outside those values, counseling is in order.
Counseling is one. So, no, I'm really glad you brought that up. I think that's a really important point for people, because if you have personal values and you feel that an employee has violated that values, how do you handle it? So those are the kind of conversations that we have when someone says, well, I'm not experiencing that value. It's important to me, but I'm not experiencing it. And you say, well, you're violating that value. That this is where it gets interesting.
Well,
Say,
that's what I call a crucial conversation.
yeah, so there you go. It's a crucial conversation, because you want to understand, because maybe if we just talk, we go, oh, wow, I thought we were, way apart, and I realized we're very, very close to one another. There's just some little critical piece that we need to shore up, and then we can both get in kind of alignment.
Well, right. And so as soon as you see a variance, right, that's the time to go have the conversation.
Yeah.
Because that might be when it's tiny, right? And you can fix it.
Yes.
And you can bring it back in. Now, if you ignore it and it goes on and on and on and on, it's no longer getting tiny, because it's going to grow. And by the way, it's going to share, and other people are going to see this, and it's going to multiply, and it's going to be not good.
Yes,
Right? So you
I
want to do
completely
that
agree.
right away.
Well, yeah, you want to try to recognize these things very early, and that's why I like the assessment tool that I have. It gives you an idea where the gaps are, and you say, one I always use is I use communication. Is I say, well, it's important for me as value. Communications are very important. Stand-up comic. I got a big mouth. I think communication is important.
Yeah.
So I always want to talk through things, and I think it's important for my organization to have communication. Then I find out that people are feeling there's no communication. We're completely in the dark about things. That I'm like, whoa, this is important to me. How are you perceiving that? How are you perceiving the things that I'm doing that you feel that there's not good communication? So then we can start the conversation and really figure out how to get everybody to feel the values that are important to them, important to me, important to the organization, and get those in alignment. So like I said, I love the phraseology, crucial conversation.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you mentioned is feel, right? How do you feel? That's a big deal, right? We make decisions based on our emotions.
Yes.
Then we rationalize them. but all of the emotions really, and we say, oh yeah, because I felt that way, I need this, and I need to buy that car. That's kind of the model that we go through. So, what's a big success story?
So big success story for me, I would go back to when I first started in corporate training, and I was I was very fortunate, I should say. I was very fortunate to be on a team that was considered, I would call, a high-performing team, and I think I can say that with some objectivity, because that team, we won a very prestigious award. We won the President's Award. It was a Fortune.
Sure.
It was a Fortune 50 company. Only one team in the entire organization won it. There was over 10,000 employees in this company, so there was a lot of people competing for this award, and we won it. And it was the single best software implementation. At least that's what they said that they had.
Okay, that's what you won it for. Yeah.
That's what we won it for. And I was the corporate trainer on that, but I had a team of trainers, and I was in charge of not only training people to the content, but training them essentially in leadership and how to not only be an effective trainer, but an effective leader. And I had one of the people that I had trained in our Ireland plant come to me, I think it was 6 months later. She came to me, Chris, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate all the things that you taught me, not just about how to teach the material, but how you taught me how to be a better trainer and how to be a better leader. So for me, that's what drives me. And like I said, I love to teach. When somebody gets something. So here's something that transformed. I taught her something that transformed the way that she started showing up. And that translated, you talked about it, infecting other people. Well, it works the other way too.
It does.
So
it's exciting.
As the
that's
leader,
exciting.
See, now I got the goosebumps.
Yeah,
so we were
bingo.
talking about
that's exciting.
Getting the goosebumps. That's where it gets excited. That's what I get passionate about. I love those moments when you do something, you tell something to someone, and it starts translating not just for them, but for the people around them. And that's how you create those great corporate cultures.
Right.
That's how you create those high-performing teams. It's, cultures don't change, people do. And it's keyed on the leader. I think I shared this quote with you before, and Lincoln said it best. Leading by example isn't the best way to lead. It's the only way to lead.
Right.
The leader has to set the example, and then people follow.
Yeah, but that idea of transforming others, making a difference, and I like the way you said about how they showed up. Right? That's a big difference, because you could show up and just, it's a job, or you could show up charged, energy, and passionate, and go out and change the world. Which one you want?
Which one do you think would be better for your organization?
Yeah,
which one do you want?
Yeah.
Right? Do you want people who are engaged, excited to be at work, or people like, I'm here for my paycheck, okay, yeah. I'm at the meeting,
But we see that so darn often.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to tell me a little bit before we get good today. We're gonna go to the Cable Guy Award, because I want to hear that story. But For the lady from Ireland
Mhm.
that came up to you, right? She got a lot more than just how to training, right? That's a technical thing. Here's how you do it. These are the steps, and these are the things you're training. Describe what else she got.
Well, I guess that's the thing is that you can, and this is organizations sometimes confuse what I call um, technical change or a technical change with an adaptive change. So an adaptive thing is leadership development, soft skills. So one of the things that I train those kind of soft skills, so skills that make people more effective leaders. Mindset.
Mm-hmm.
What's your mindset? What's your intention? One of the things that I like to talk about for leaders is be curious. Something happened. Boy, I certainly didn't like that. Why did that happen? As opposed to reacting. So be more curious when things happen that aren't exactly what you expected. And when things go well, still be curious. Like, wow, that went a lot better than I thought it was going to go.
How do we do more of that?
How do we do more of that? Exactly. So the idea of curiosity. So maybe those are kind of the things that I teach people. I would say is that curiosity, those mindset pieces that are so important for a leader and for them to lead an organization to maybe a new path. Stretching outside their comfort zone. All those ideas that make an effective leader, as opposed to just, hey, I taught you how to train this content.
Right. So they're getting all of those other things, and pretty surprised. And the lady from Ireland realized that obviously that changed her life as to how she showed up, and that may not have been what she expected when she went to your train the trainer training.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in terms of your best tips, leadership tips, high performance tips, give me 3 of them.
Well, mission, vision, values. First thing is let's sit down and talk about values. I mean, you've got to sit down and talk about values and what it is that's important to you. So one, vision. Look, many times people hire the corporate vision. I used to do this. I tell this story often when I'm doing my training. Is I was working at one company, and I would go through the door, and on their wall they had their quality vision and their quality mission statement. So they had them on the wall, and I read it every single morning that I walked in. And one of the key things that I remember, it says at this company, we are responsible for the quality and value of our work. And I said to myself, okay, I'm responsible for the quality and value. How am I going to carry that intention forward for the rest of my day? Now, here's the challenge. If I went and asked people, what's the quality vision and what's the quality mission, they'd be like, huh? Even though it's posted right up there, it wasn't internalized.
Right.
And there's the disconnect. And when there's a disconnect between that vision and what I'm supposed to be doing, that's again where you have disengage or that friction loss. So first, values. What are the values that we share that I'm going to show up here at work with? What is the vision? Yes, I buy into this vision.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is my mission? What am I supposed to do?
How do you internalize that?
How do I internalize that vision into what I'm doing at my job? How do I show up excited, like we talked about? I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm prepared. I know who I'm going to be serving when I show up at work. When you align those 3, as far as organizations, those are really the critical things that we work on.
Yeah. So values, vision, mission.
Yeah.
A little bit of a repeat of what we talked about earlier,
Yep.
but coming from a slightly different perspective. So
Yeah.
I really like those, and I think anybody watching this video can kind of start to see how maybe how they could proceed in that fashion.
Yeah.
So shifting topics, and we're going to put your entrepreneur hat on.
Okay.
Because you're a somewhat of a solopreneur. I mean, you're your own business. You've got some people that you work with from a service provider standpoint, because nobody does it all by themselves.
Yeah.
But what are the top 3 lessons that you've learned about being a business owner?
Being a business owner, first thing is, what do I want?
What do you want?
What do you want? First, you have to start really with what is it that you want. And I think we discussed this before. So many people know what they don't want. Like,
Right.
no,
Well,
I don't want to do that.
All the time. I don't want that.
I don't want to do that.
I don't know what I want, but here's what I don't want. Okay, well, I don't need to know what you don't want. I need to know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, then we need to go figure that out.
Yeah. So that's step 1. As an entrepreneur, what is it that you want? What is it that you're trying to receive? What are the results that you're trying to achieve as a business owner?
I like to use the word definition of success.
Yeah.
What's the definition of success for being a business owner? Go on. I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect because I actually taught the class in measures of success at one of the companies.
Okay.
So what is your measure of success? What is your definition of success? Are very, very closely aligned. So measure of success. What is that measure of success? How are you going to say, now I've been successful at my business. This is the result that I want to do. So you want to be very, very clear on that. And I actually struggled with this when I was...
clarity is hard.
When I quit my job in engineering to become a stand-up comic, I knew what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to do that. And I had an affinity towards, making people laugh, but I had no clear result that I wanted to get out of it other than getting away from my other job.
Yeah.
Well, surprise, surprise, I struggled.
You didn't get the results.
I didn't get the
You didn't
results.
even know what results you wanted.
Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
What a shocker. So we're talking about the most important thing is what is the result that you want out of it? And then your brain can go, your brain is really a goal-seeking organism. And if you have a goal or result that you're trying to get to, then it says, okay, how do I make that happen? You'll come up with your creative ideas. So first thing is results. What is it that you want?
What do you want?
You have to decide that. The next thing, and I think you're going to know exactly what this is you have to take action. If you want to get any kind of result, you have to take action. You have to take a step and go, no, that didn't get me closer to my goal. That actually got me farther away from my goal. And now I have to do something else. Yeah. So you must take action. So the third one, which is they're all kind of correlated, is you have to take responsibility for your result.
You have to own it.
You have to own it. I made the decision to go in this direction, and I ended up in a ditch. I made a decision to go this way, and I'm on the pathway to success. You have to understand that your decision-making does that, and you're in control of that. What a lot of people do is they take action, and then something happens, and maybe it's external to them, and they go, if that guy only did this.
Well, so no excuses, right?
No excuses.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Responsibility, own it. You're not making excuses. They don't really help you much.
No.
So Albert Einstein, I'll go back. Albert Einstein, he has a little quote. I love Albert Einstein because he's brilliant. He said, hey, nothing happens without action.
Yep.
It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. You can't just sit there and wait for something to happen. It doesn't work that way, right? You have to take action. And when you take action, sometimes you're going to make a mistake. And sometimes it's not going to be the right action. It's not going to be the best action. It's not going to be, there's a whole lot of different things that might happen. And you own it and you don't complain. And if you're going to be responsible about it, then you will shift until you get it right.
So you get it right. So if you're focused on that result and you go, that didn't work, let me try something else, let me do this, you'll keep figuring it out until you get towards that result that you want. So I have another quote for you, Lynn, you'll like. So one of mine's from Teddy Roosevelt. So in the moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing.
Is nothing, right? Because you'll learn from right thing and wrong thing. And sometimes we learn a lot more from the wrong thing than we do. We learn a lot more from our failures than we do from our successes. Because sometimes we get successful and we just think everything is going to be successful, and it doesn't work that way. We got lucky, or the planets were aligned, and it it happened. But it doesn't always work that way. All right, so 60 seconds. I want to go to the comment that you made about people talking about what they don't want and how to get out of that space.
So many people focus on what they don't want. And so if this comes up for you, so, I don't want this. This is the mind shift I would like people to make. This is my strategy. And that is, what would you prefer? What would you like to be experiencing? Okay, we're clear. You don't want this. What would you prefer to experience? As soon as you do that, you change your mind into being problem-oriented to being solution-oriented.
From problem to solution.
From problem to solution.
Now we get a target. Now we can figure out how to get there, and we can go there.
Yep.
I can't figure out how to get where you don't want to go.
Like, okay, we're clear. That area is off limits.
Right, and you wouldn't believe how often, and I know we're going to pass our 60 seconds, but I'll ask somebody, what do you want? They'll say, I don't want this. Okay, yeah, but that didn't really answer the question. What is it that you want? Well, I don't want this. Okay, that's twice. How many times do I have to ask you this question? And usually that's like hitting somebody over the head with a hammer, but usually that will do the trick, because then they finally listen to what I said, and now all of a sudden they get quiet.
Well, it might be a good kind of couple of the two things together. You say, okay, well, we're clear what you don't want, but we still haven't answered the question.
Yeah, and what would you prefer? See, now I didn't have that, and so that's now going into my strategy so that I can help, because it's all about helping people get to that particular place. So
I think letting them stew a little bit. I like the idea of letting them stew. Well, we're clear about that, and letting them think about, like, whoa, what do I want? And letting them stew a little bit on their own.
Really good.
And I'm a big thing of letting people stew a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh my goodness, now I have to think differently. And then you throw the lifeline to them, right? What would you prefer? Oh, wait, I would prefer.
Oh, thank you, thank you for rescuing me, because I didn't know where I was going there.
Exactly.
So, Chris, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. You were on the show years ago when we first got started.
Yeah, I think almost 2 years ago. I think.
Oh no, it was when
Maybe
did you?
3.
Yeah,
Maybe 3 years ago.
yeah, it's been 3
When
years.
you first started doing these
These
interviews.
shows, yeah, and we really were just at that point trying to record um, coaching sessions so we could tell people what a coaching session is,
Right.
and at the very least they could see what it is that I do and how I do it. And now we've just morphed on. We're doing all kinds of different things. And, so, what do you think of this session?
Oh, look, I'm fantastic. I love sitting down and talking with you. I mean, you and I, we might work in slightly different areas, but we speak the same language, and that's what I said. Basically, we both want to share that. We want to share that idea with people, right? That's the way I feel about it. So I just thought it was great time to sit down with you and talk.
Well, I learned, and again, I love to invite coaches, people that want to make a difference, and people that want to transform lives, people that want to make a difference. Because, and there I got the goosebumps.
All right.
It just means I'm on the right track, and we can share and we can learn and we can grow and we can create and we can help people while we're doing some fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thanks again. Thanks for coming on
Well,
the show.
thank you for having me on.
Yeah. All right. So join us again next week for another episode of Business Wits Better Business Results.